Iron lungs, calipers and paralysis. Polio is one hell of a disease, a thing of the past or a glimpse into our future. Here's the story of the polio vaccine. Highly infectious, polio attacks the nervous system. It starts as a headache and a fever, progressing quickly with 1 in 200 cases resulting in paralysis. Cruelly, this incurable disease usually affects children under 5 years old. It's transmitted via poop and sometimes saliva. While polio has existed for millennia, epidemics in the mid-20th century killed or paralysed over 500,000 people every year. People were left with deformed limbs like musician Ian Dury, or with breathing problems like the inspirational Paul Alexander. Now, Paul was left quadriplegic when he caught polio at the age of 6. He spent the next 72 years living in an iron lung. Despite being paralysed, he lived alone most of his life. He practiced law. He even wrote a book using a pencil in his mouth to type on the keyboard. He was incredible. So how did the vaccine come about? Well, by the early 1950s, a medical researcher called Jonas Salk had developed a vaccine using a dead version of the virus. He tested it on laboratory animals first, obviously. In July 1952, he tested it on children at 2 schools that could not sound more 1950s if they tried. They had words like crippled and feeble-minded in their official names, and also much worse words. Ugh. Anyway, he gave the vaccine to his own children in 1953, and on this day in 1954, a group of children at the Arsenal Elementary School in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, were the first to receive the polio vaccine out of the test phase. Now, we have all lived through the pandemic. You know what that vaccine announcement feels like. Oh, the relief, it was immense. How successful was the vaccine? Well, within 3 years, polio cases had dropped from 58,000 a year to 5,600. By 1961, there were only 161 cases. Dr. Salk didn't profit from his work. When he was asked if he'd patented the vaccine in an interview, he said, "There is no patent. Could you patent the sun?" Salk's vaccine was known as the IPV, the inactivated polio vaccine. But there was another person, Dr. Sabin, who was working on an OPV, the oral polio vaccine. Sabin's vaccine used a very weak form of the live virus, and this could be given orally in sugar cubes rather than as an injection. Dr. Sabin's oral vaccination was developed and used in the early 1950s and early 1960s. Another key difference between the two vaccines, according to the World Health Organization, is that while Dr. Salk's vaccine would stop the individual from getting polio, the oral vaccine stopped the virus from being transmitted between people, which stopped outbreaks in their tracks. We have now reduced the cases of polio worldwide by 99%. There were only 2 known cases as of July 2021, one in Pakistan and one in Afghanistan. Vaccines are wonderful. Look at all of the lives that are saved by them. Look at the improvement in the quality of life. In the pandemic, we saw a rise in the anti-vaccination movement, and it blows my mind. Like, maybe the world's out to get you, but not like this. It only really works if we're all in it together. Protect your babies. Get them vaccinated. You know, we don't want to see this horrible disease rising again because we've not given them vaccinations. It's there. So thank you, Dr. Salk, for your wonderful vaccine. Thank you for watching. Why not subscribe? And I'll see you tomorrow.